just knowing that, education is just as important as the athletics. You really want to find that right balance, right? Wherever school, you like to go, or, whatever is kind of your flavor, you definitely want to find that right balance, because a lot of kids, they'll, where they go wrong is they only think about the athletic portion of it, right? And I get it. That's what you mainly going to school for. That's what you getting recruited for, whatever the case may be. But, athletics, they're not going to be a guarantee, right? I mean, you could, tear your knee up and be done, or, mess your back up, or whatever the case may be. But this is not going anywhere.
What's good, guys? Welcome to another episode of Exposing Sports Talk. I'm your host, Kellen Blake, and I'm joined with my co-host, Jalen Mitchell. What's good, Jay?
Good.
My guy. Today we got a special guest, and I'm actually excited for this one. We got our first football player, and I haven't talked to him, chopped it up with him in a minute. And so I'm excited to see what his perspective and everything was for his college experience. We got my guy, Raeshawn Smith, football player at William & Mary. What's up with you, Ray? How you doing?
I'm good, man. Good to be here. Thank y'all for having me.
Living life, family good, everything?
Everything's good, man. Can't complain. Another day above the ground, so I'm just blessed.
Great way to put it. All right, we're going to kick it off. Icebreaker, we ask this to everybody. Top 3 artists that you could listen to for the rest of your life. You're going to listen to these 3 the rest of your life. Who would it be?
I'm going to go Future.
Okay.
I'm going to go J. Cole and Biggie.
Okay. A little old hip-hop soul. I love it.
Yeah. Try to diversify. I got to throw Future in there too, though, because, he got
Future can be gone.
He got that new flavor, but he still be spitting bars and everything, so it's cool.
Hey.
The bangers, bro. You need the bangers, bro.
You got to tell them your top 3, Jay.
Top 3. All right, I think I'm going to stick to a soul. Last time I picked Cole, Tiller, Drake. But I think I'm going to go with the females this time, all right? So
yeah.
I'm going to go Mary J. Mary J. Blige. I'm going to throw y'all Alina Baraz. If y'all not hip to Alina Baraz, go get hip. She's mad dope. I'm at every concert. If you see Alina Baraz, you'll probably see me.
Okay.
Alina Baraz. Let me get the third. I'd throw in Summer Walker, man. She's new. I like her vibe, her style. I like the beats that she be on, man. She's a vibe for sure.
That's a joint. All right, if I had to throw in a new 3, I'd probably throw in like Brent Fire slaps.
Shout out DMV.
Man, Boogie. Don't listen to Boogie. Not a Boogie, but just Boogie. West Coast dude. Raps crazy. He sounded like Eminem. Crazy. And I go Gunna. Gunna give me hype.
Gunna's tough.
Big facts. All right, we about to get into the meat and potatoes of just like everything we talk about and everything Exposing Sports is about too. So like, just want to get your insights on how your high school recruiting process worked, like 9th through 12th grade, like when coaches started talking to you, like when you started realizing playing football at the college level was like it was that thing. Like, how did that go for you? Let us know how, especially football is different than basketball. Let us know like how, that stuff kind of went down. First off, where you go to high school?
Yeah, so I went to Chantilly High School in Fairfax County. And my situation was kind of complicated and complex. So, my first 2 years, I still didn't exactly know what I wanted to do because I played basketball in high school too, and I ran track. So I was still kind of teetering with the 2, or with the 3, I should say. But I was the best at football, right? But I enjoyed basketball more, but also was good at track. So, it was kind of all over the place. But once I, became, I would say the second half of my sophomore year, that's when I really started, kind of coming to my senses, so to speak, and being like, what, football is my best chance. And it's going to be my main meal ticket. And, I guess coincidentally, that's when my letters started coming in the mail, right? I started getting some letters from coaches after my sophomore football season. and I wasn't really getting no other letters elsewhere for other sports.
Yeah.
So so that was kind of my calling right there, as far as what I should be doing. But yeah, from that point on, it just became a domino effect. My junior year came. I had a big junior year. I was all state and everything for football. And so, more and more letters started coming in, and then I got, some offers, and so, those sorts of things. And then it kind of took off from that point. So yeah, I would say my junior year, that's when I really started focusing on football, but I was still doing other things like playing basketball and doing track for fun.
Did you play varsity all 4 years?
Football?
Football, yeah.
No, I played it the last 3. So my freshman year, I played JV and I dressed varsity. I wasn't really big enough to be playing varsity at that point. I was kind of small. I don't know if you remember, Kellen, I'm sure you do. But I was little Ray back then, so I wasn't really ready for the varsity level physically. Yeah. But then sophomore, and so even sophomore year, I was still small, but I was good enough to kind of compensate. So yeah, my last 3, that's when I wound up playing varsity. I started off as just a corner my sophomore year, and then junior and senior year, that's when I got put into some different positions too.
So, like, what kind of offers did you get? Like, what was your probably top 5 or 3 offers that you like schools you was actually looking into, and what made you like ultimately choose William and Mary?
Yeah, so my top 3, I would say, were William and Mary, of course, JMU, and Duke. I wound up choosing, William and Mary because I just felt like it was kind of the best of both worlds, as far as the athletics and the the academics of it. Because obviously, William and Mary is William and Mary, right? It's a very academically prestigious school. So, and at the time, we were pretty good in football. Played in the most competitive FCS conference in the CAA, and I just felt like they were gonna give me the best chance to play early and make an immediate impact. And then also they just made me feel at home. You know what I'm saying? When I went on my official visit, that was a big thing for me. The coaches kind of knowing me by my first name, knowing my background, remembering certain, little facts about me and stuff like that. That goes a long way, right? Some of the other schools that I went to and visited, they didn't really do that. It was just more about, okay, well, how talented are you and what can you bring to the table from a football standpoint, which is fine. But, when a coach and when, the players and everybody like that know you as a person, and they're able to kind of get more personal beyond the football level, then that was really important for me because, you're not, at the end of the day, you're not just going to be there to play sports, right? You got to have a certain relationship with your peers and your coaches and just people around campus and stuff and things like that. So that was a big determining factor for me. And that's why I, wound up choosing William and Mary.
So I guess biggest thing too, a big thing we do is like just giving advice to high school students. Like, what's a piece of advice you would give like a high school student trying to get recruited? Especially now, like we talk about this with a lot of other people we do interviews with. Social media crazy. It's so many other ways to just hype yourself. Like we kind of got it. Like when we was in school, it was like we kind of got like the first look at it. Like now it's really like I could create a TikTok or something and be like that guy.
Yeah, I know it's crazy. I mean, to your point, back then, that's when social media was starting to kind of get kick-started, but now it's crazy. I mean, you can literally put your whole highlight tape on there. You got coaches trying to recruit from Twitter and stuff like that, saying, "Hey, drop your tape," all these things. So it's real easy now. I almost get jealous sometimes because I'm like, dang, they got so many different resources. But it's cool. But to answer your question, the piece of advice that I would give would be to take your time. I remember when I was getting recruited, I was kind of well, first of all, I didn't really know how I should, experience or how I should, attack the whole process because, my dad didn't go to school for college or, he didn't go to school in general in college. He didn't play sports. Neither did my mom or anybody else in my family for that matter. So this was, really a first time experience for my whole family through me. And, I kind of was just kind of going with the flow. Didn't really know how to handle it. And then, once I went to my visit at William and Mary, I pretty much committed, right after that official visit, right? At the end of the visit. But looking back, I wound up not going to a lot of other visits for schools because, I pretty much had my mind made up. But, to hindsight's 2020, I wish I would have, right? Because even though I'm glad that I went to William and Mary and, I don't really have regrets and things like that, you still never really know if you would have felt more at home elsewhere. So my number one piece of advice would be visit as many schools as you can, even if you have an idea of where you want to go and you're pretty much set. You never really know if another place is going to be a better spot for you, if you might like the environment or whatever the case may be. And besides all that, even if let's say you know for 100% that you do want to go to, whatever school, it's still good to have that experience and just go to other schools and have that, college experience, just, for the sake of, just having fun, right? As a senior in high school, junior in high school, whatever the case may be, just experiencing, different places and different cultures.
So when did you actually make your decision? Was it senior year? Or did you start taking your visits junior year? Or was all senior year, you just took all your visits?
I started taking my visits junior year. I think my first visit was JMU, as a matter of fact, and it was fun. And I visited UVA, William and Mary, and then that was it. As a matter of fact, those are the only 3 official visits I went to. I got invited to a lot more, mostly CAA schools like Richmond and UMass, or not UMass, UNH, and a bunch of other CAA schools, right? But I wound up, like I said, just not even going because I knew I wanted to go to William and Mary. Once it became December, plus at that point, this was, like I said, this was December of my senior year when I committed verbally, and at that point, time is ticking. You only got a couple months left before you really have to make a decision and sign. So I kind of felt the pressure of time, but I still had time to visit other schools. But again, I chose not to do that, which I wish I would have, right? So, but yeah, I wound up, committing my senior year, and, it wound up being a good decision. But like I said, I wish I would have, visited some other schools.
You mentioned academics.
Go ahead,
you mentioned academics as something that was a part of your decision. What about William and Mary's academics that intrigued you or that made you feel like it was a good fit for you?
Yeah, so I mean, it's very reputable, especially on the East Coast. I mean, William and Mary alums and alumni, they're everywhere, from New York to Atlanta, to Virginia, to even out west. And it's borderline an Ivy League school, right? It's up there with the Princetons and the Harvards and things like that. So me just knowing that, education is just as important as the athletics, you really want to find that right balance, right? Wherever school, you like to go, or, whatever is kind of your flavor, you definitely want to find that right balance, because a lot of kids, they'll where they go wrong is they only think about the athletic portion of it, right? And I get it. That's what you mainly going to school for. That's what you getting recruited for, whatever the case may be. But, athletics, they're not going to be a guarantee, right? I mean, you could, tear your knee up and be done, or, mess your back up, or whatever the case may be. But this is not going anywhere. You know what I'm saying? This is guaranteed. So, so that's something that, I had to make sure that I was considering throughout the whole process, is that what's going to give me the best opportunity to get a good job when I get out of school, right? Because, the NFL, we all know, NFL, NBA, whatever, all that stuff is not promised. I mean, it's like the 1% of the 1%, go pro, right? Especially at that level. So you just got to know what you're dealing with and know the probability of making it that far, and just know that you got to consider, academics and what type of, programs and stuff that they have too. Because, that's another thing. I mean, you might want to be an engineer, but this school that you, or at least interested in engineering, but this school that you like football wise, they don't have an engineering program. So, you got to just think about stuff like that too. What's going to, again, kind of check off all the boxes on that list as far as what you might be looking for from a school standpoint and a football or, sports standpoint.
So I got a 2-part question off to bounce off that. One, what did you major in?
Okay, I majored in economics.
Yes, sir. I applaud that. I couldn't have did it. Second. So especially economics, managing that and football, Division I level, like that's not an easy task, especially at, borderline Ivy League school, like you said, William Mary. Like, how did you balance all of that? Like, what was your day-to-day life look like?
Man, I don't know how I balanced it. I'm still trying to figure that out, to be honest. But you learn as you go along. I mean, I'll admit when I first started, so I redshirted my freshman year, right? My true freshman year.
Oh,
So I was able, yeah. So I was able to kind of get my feet wet before I, really got thrown into the fire. And I was able to, see what, how hard I would need to work academically and things like that. And then the following year, that's when, I wound up actually playing and, and of course was going to school at the same time. So again, you just kind of learn as you go along. You learn time management skills. I thought I had it in high school, but, high school and college, they're two different ball games, right? I mean, when we talk about Division I sports or sports in general in college, is very time consuming. You really got to dedicate a lot of your effort and your energy towards athletics, but at the same time, you got to make sure that your grades are up, right, so you can actually be eligible to play. So let alone, trying to make sure you have a high GPA to make your resume look good once you're a junior and senior and you're applying for jobs and stuff like that. So it's really just about learning time management skills, getting enough rest, making sure you're not procrastinating. I mean, I know we all procrastinate, and that's something that I still procrastinate, you know what I'm saying? But, I had to kind of learn that, look, man, I got to get stuff knocked out as soon as possible because this week, I'm too busy. I got to wake up. I got to, go to lifting at 10 a.m. And then I got, or actually I got lifting at 7:30 a.m. And then I got class at 9 and 10. And then, I can take a nap for an hour, and then I got another class, then I got meetings. So you just got to really know how to build a schedule and know what sort of slots you can fit in to like do your homework or do some studying or whatever the case may be. It's tough, but it's doable. You just got to, like I said, learn as you go along.
I mean, it's a great life skill too. Like I take all that stuff into like my daily, like 9-to-5 life is what I look at it now. And, especially time management, just trying to figure out how I'm going to plan to do work that I have done, how to prioritize. And, you look at all that stuff, just figuring out how everything is going to go into place. So definitely, I think that's one of the biggest things sports teach you, honestly, just being able to break down your time and then going from there. But like you said, you redshirted. Like, how did that come about? Like, was that like your coach's choice or like it was a mutual thing? I've never redshirted. I know everybody's redshirt stuff is different, especially coming in as a freshman redshirt. And like, what was that like?
Yeah, so to be honest, I took it pretty harsh. You know what I'm saying? Like it definitely wasn't a mutual decision. It was the coach's decision. And I was pretty pissed, to be honest with you. Because, I was of the mindset that, look, like when I come in here, I'm ready to play. I'm better than this person. I'm better than this person, and so on and so forth. And that's just, the type of confidence that I have and that you should have in life in general, let alone, athletics. So, but basically, the reason I redshirted or they had me redshirt was that, I didn't really know the playbook as well as I should have. When you go from high school to college, I mean, it's like night and day, the amount of stuff that you have to know. Because when you think about it, at that point, everybody is, just as good or better than you, right? I mean, that's why they're there. Everyone is fast, everyone's quick, athletic, everyone can catch and make tackles and everything like that. But what separates the bad from the good and the good from the great are the X's and O's and the technique aspect of it and, just kind of honing your skills. So when I was in high school, I was able to kind of get away with it, from, being raw and not having that much technique because I was just naturally better than everybody. I was just, faster and quicker and stuff, so you can get away with it. But when you get to college, it's not that easy, right? Everyone has those capabilities physically. So, I was pretty raw from a technique standpoint. My footwork wasn't good, especially as a DB, you need to have that, right? You got to be able to be smooth with your feet and, all those things. So I didn't really have that. And so, they made the decision to redshirt me, like I said, because, I didn't really know the playbook and I still needed to hone my skills from like a technique standpoint. So, I just pretty much worked, hard as I could on the off season, try to, work on my footwork and learn the book I was always studying. So then, by the time the springtime came around and it was, time to, fight for some positions, I was doing pretty well, and then I was able to, earn a starting job the following year. So, I just kind of had to, roll with the punches and work hard to get where I, became.
Talk about how hard you had to work, kind of like to go back to high school. Like, how hard was you working? Because I look at this generation too. I don't necessarily I don't call them lazy, but like I also look back at like when because we didn't have technology to like kind of distract us from stuff. When we was coming up, it was like, we hooping at 9 a.m. on a Saturday. It's no question. We don't even got to send out no text. Like everybody at the gym, or we working out at 6 a.m. by ourselves or whatever before high school starts. Like, did you do that? Like, what was how much extra effort did you put in high school and maybe even in college? Was that like a thing, or like how much time did you put in outside of like the mandatory time?
Yeah, I mean, I put in a bunch of time, so dating back to high school, I started personal training when I was a sophomore. And, I pretty much made the decision myself that I needed to get a personal trainer and work on my speed, my, explosiveness and everything like that, because I had a goal my sophomore year going into my junior year that I wanted to be all region, right? First team all region. And, the previous year, so my sophomore year, I was honorable mention all district, right? So I knew I had a pretty big gap to jump, right? So
yeah.
I was working out, with my trainer about three days out of the week, and then the other 2 I was doing my own stuff. And it was tough. I mean, my trainer, I had never been trained like this ever in my life. Like there were days, especially when we first started, I was like, man, I don't know if this is for me. Like, I don't know if I could do this. You know what I'm saying? But, obviously you wind up getting in shape and, week after week, it becomes easier and easier. And so, you really just got to have that mindset that, it's not going to happen, just because because you wish for it, right? Like it's not going to happen by accident. You actually got to go out and get it. You can't just, sit up here and lay out some ladders or some cones and do some pretty little drill. I see stuff all the time online where people are doing all this extra stuff and they're trying to film it, stuff that has nothing to do with, what you actually do in the game, right? And I'm just like, man, y'all doing this stuff for show. But, you really got to work hard and try to, do drills that really apply to the actual game. And so that's what I did when I was a sophomore going into my junior year. And so I wound up being all state, not just all region. And that was just, like I said, by way of training and, just putting my head down and getting focused because I knew that I had an opportunity to, you only get one junior year and one senior year. And I knew, okay, my junior year, that's like the most important year from an athlete standpoint in high school of getting looks and trying to get some offers. So I knew that I had to, I had one shot to kind of do what I needed to do to get myself really put on notice and get some big time offers.
That's tough. I mean, that's totally accurate. And it transfers to college when you do it in high school. Like you said, getting a trainer, then you already going through a lot of the hardships, a lot of the work that you got to do when you get to college. You're like, all right, cool. I did a lot of this stuff. Like, I understand what it means to work hard. Like they also add their own touches to it wherever you go, but that's definitely like a good foundation, I think, for high school student athletes that's trying to get to that next level. Another interesting question. I mean, you didn't go to one, but like, what is your thoughts on Division I, like going Division I? Like I always ask this to people, like what is D2, D3, JUCO? I think everything, that's another reason why I do this, because everybody has a different background. Like, what would you say, like, the importance of going D1 is, like, honestly?
So obviously the higher the level of competition you play, the more notoriety you get and the more glamorous it is, I guess, you know what I'm saying? Like everyone wants to go D1 and stuff. But there's absolutely, no shame in going D2, D3, JUCO, you know what I'm saying, whatever the case may be. I know some folks that, went D2 and D3 that are in the league right now. Like I have, friends personally that are playing professional ball from, a smaller school, or, they went D1 and they might have gotten in trouble. I mean, we all seen, Last Chance U and stuff where, they got to go to JUCO and then, go through all these trials and tribulations to ultimately get where they need to be. So if you can ball, you can ball. that is simple as that. You know what I'm saying? Like it doesn't matter. A lot of people they get wrapped up into, oh, well, if you don't go D1, then you're trash or you're this or you're that, and you can't ball with the best of them. Nah, I mean, a lot of people, you know, don't get big time offers because of, you know, things that they can't even control, right? Because they're too short or they don't weigh enough or they're not fast enough or whatever. But, you know, when they step on that gridiron, you know, they're giving people the business. You know what I'm saying? So regardless of whatever type of offers you get, you should never be discouraged, right? Like if you don't get a D1 offer, if you don't get a Power 5 offer, that don't mean that you can't ball. It just means that, you know, you being slept on. You know what I'm saying? So it's at that point, it's time to wake people up and let them know, you know, what you about and what you're capable of. So yeah, I honestly think the D1 thing is overrated. If you can ball, you can ball, and it don't matter what level you at. You just got to make sure you showcase it.
Man, like you said, you never know, especially with your peaks and stuff. Like I grew like 6 inches like my senior year. So, I mean, people do that in college, you know what I'm saying? Might be everybody's timetable is different, especially like just how nobody knows for certain how you going to pan out. But if you just keep working and keep being persistent, I think that's like a major help and just having that confidence in yourself, honestly.
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, just to kind of piggyback off of that, you know, for me personally, I use that as fuel, you know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of these Power 5 schools, because, you know, to keep it 100, like, you know, I had like all the ACC schools and stuff coming to my school and visiting me and everything. But, you know, majority of them passed on me because I was small, right? Back in high school, I was like 5'9", you know, $160 barely, like soaking wet. So, you know, the reason that, you know, I wasn't getting offers and stuff from these schools was because they were just like, look, he's too small. He's too small. He's too small. I had, you know, I was fast enough. I was quick enough. I had the accolades, all state and everything, but they still wasn't trying to give me a shot because they was like, oh, well, you're not a 6'2", 185 corner. You know what I'm saying? You know, everyone, you know, as soon as Richard Sherman came out, that's where all the recruiting, you know, when it came to corners, they try to get people that look just like him, right? Tall, lanky and everything. But if you can ball, you can ball. If you can strap, you can strap. It don't matter how big you are. So, you know, long story short, I use that as fuel. I was like, okay, well, if y'all want fake on me, I'm about to show y'all what I'm capable of when we play y'all. So anytime we play Tech or UVA or NC State or anything like that, you know, I balled. Like my senior year, you know, when we played against Tech, you know, I led my team too.
I was like, man, my man's out here getting deflections. I think you might have had a pick, but it was like you had crazy tackles too. I watched that game. I was like, my man's out here balling.
Yeah. Like I said, I took it personally. You know, I definitely had the best defensive game out of all our players. I mean, we got cooked, but you know, they knew at the end of the game, they knew who Raeshawn Smith was. You know what I'm saying? Oh, okay, 2'8", yeah, he can ball. Okay, and we faked on him 4 or 5 years ago when it came to offering him a scholarship. You know, so and I bought at the camp too. I went to Tech's, you know, 1-day camp and, you know, ran a good 40, did this, that, and the third, and they still, you know, wanted to pass on me. So I said, okay, I'm gonna remember that. You know what I'm saying? So when we played in my senior year. That's so funny.
Yeah. Honestly, that's how I meet a lot of like my friends, especially in like just basketball. But like if you just go play pickup, I'm going to play pickup. If I go to a place that not too many people know who I am or anything like that, that's just one how you get like the respect to be like, oh, all right, like you can actually, you know, compete with us. And it's like you actually good. So it's like they like, oh, you know, all right, show us a little something. Like you get that kind of like mutual feeling. You know how it is when you're an athlete and you're not like too familiar where you at. Like, all right, yeah, he's, you know, up there. He's
that's how me and you met, bro.
The fact. This is a fact. you get to talking. You might talk a little trash. It's just that competitive nature, and then that's how the best of like friends. I think personally, just meet. You get the best out of each other. You sharpen like iron sharpens iron at the end of the day, for real. And then if you can't have like competitive like criticism or just like however it is, like especially with your good friends, like I've never like argued or like been in like an actual like fight with my good friends, but like we don't always see eye to eye, but we respect each other to the point where it's like, you know, I know I'm gonna make you better at the same time you can make me better at the end of the day. And like, well, like you said too, like the training looking pretty, like with our friends, when we was hooping and stuff like that, we was competing. It wasn't no like, I'm gonna take it easy on you because you my guy. We were on a separate team. I'm trying to beat you. It's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. In that little pickup game, whatever it is, after the game, go to 7-Eleven, you know, do whatever it is we doing after that. But during that little in between, we going at it. I don't know if it's that no more, honestly. What you said, Jay?
Trying to embarrass them, bro. Embarrass them.
That's a fact. But it's
Yeah,
like
no
we still
doubt.
friends at the end of the day. I think social media, honestly, is kind of just changing mentalities about how that stuff goes. I don't know what y'all takes is on it, but it's really, it's interesting to see like how people view opinions. I don't know what y'all think.
Yeah, nah, I agree, bro. Like, I think, social media has made things transition to, what looks the best and what's the prettiest, and not exactly, what's the most efficient or who's working the hardest, right? Like when we was coming up, like I said, social media was there, but it wasn't used in the way that it is now. And it's not obviously wasn't as big as it is now. So when we was working, we was actually working just to work. You know what I'm saying? We was working to get better and to, hone our skills and really, just just maximize our potential at the end of the day. Nowadays, I see a bunch of people posting stuff on social media just for retweets and likes. You know what I'm saying? Like they want to, have certain glam and glory and everything like that. And like I said, making things look a certain way. When again, a lot of the stuff that they're doing don't have nothing to do with, what actually translates in the game and stuff. So, I think, that's one kind of negative aspect that I see is kind of, sports is turning into by way of social media is what looks the best. I mean, we've seen ever since Odell, caught the pass with one hand his rookie year. Now all of a sudden everybody wants to, catching one-handed passes, on air and this, that, and the third. And it's like, okay, well, great, but how about your breaks? Coming in and out of your breaks. How about your route running? Or you're not even gonna have an opportunity to make that one-handed catch if you can't get open. You know what I'm saying? So, it's just like little stuff like that. I think, the kids need to try to, you can use social media, but at the same time, don't get it confused when it comes to just looking real pretty and actually putting some work in, right? Because at the end of the day, that's what's going to make you better.
To expand on that point, like you said, the social media, it's taking respect away from the game, rather it's football, basketball, whatever it is. For example, I don't know if y'all remember the jelly fan movement, the shift team movement, all that. And this play, they could hoop. Don't get me wrong, they're nice, but where are they now? So you're looking up to something that is
momentarily.
Exactly momentary. It's not going to be productive, like you said, on the court, on the field. So getting to know the game and realizing that that's not going to work, like you said, in game time. Really working on your skills, honing in on, your dribble, your jump shot, or like you said, your breaks, your footwork. Those things are essential if you really want to get looks from, coaches.
I think that's funny too, knowing the game, like before college, like I watched a little bit of film, but like it wasn't like broken down on like how I do it now. Like I watch an NBA game and I'd be like, oh, that's a play. And one might not even know like they've running a play, but like just looking at, like I look at it so much different from being in college and stuff like that. It's funny on how like my mind is set. Even playing like 2K or something like that. Like I'd be setting up things with like how I'm finna come across the court, how I'm finna get somebody a bucket or something like that. But like it's even like Madden, whatever. Like it's just interesting to see like my perspective now. And if I'd have had that going into high school, like in high school, going into college, I'd have been a step ahead. And so I think that's a big piece too, especially with student athletes, is learning your game, not just your game personally, but like learning how to play the game in different ways and then coming up with like the terminology and just seeing how like one of the simplest things could be something drastic or like way like makes major impactful.
Yeah, nah, definitely. I mean, I do the same thing now, just to piggyback off of that. Like, now I see, football games, in college games, pro games, whatever. And like, I'm looking at, I'm watching the game as if I'm in the game playing it. I'm looking at, pre-snap reads and what type of formation, whether the ball's on this hash or that, what routes you might be getting. And then once the ball snapped, I'm looking at what type of coverage they in and what type of technique this corner's playing and that safety's playing and everything. And it's not even like I'm trying to, it's just natural now, right? Because I done done so much film study at this point. I done, done so much homework on my own time when I was in college. And that's something that I actually wish I would have done in high school too, because again, when I was in high school, I really didn't I wasn't a student of the game, right? Like I really just was like, okay, I'm about to try to get as fast as I can, as strong as I can, as quick as I can, and as skillful as I can from like a natural standpoint. But I wasn't, thinking about the X's and O's of it. I wasn't thinking about, the probability of getting this route or this play or that play based on the down and distance and where the ball's placed and all this other stuff, right? So once I got to college and I started learning all those things, I got that much better because, I had it up here. You know what I mean? So that's another thing that, I would advise, young student athletes to do is be a student of the game. Watch film. There's tons of film on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. There's, coaches that break down things. Do your research and try to be as much of a sponge as you possibly can, because that's just going to make you that much better when it comes to your personal development.
That's a fact, bro. One of the last like closing kind of questions we piggyback off of is one big thing we do at Exposing Sports is like the life skills things I was telling you about a little bit. Like, what's a piece of like life skill advice you would give like a high school student athlete? Like, it could be anything, like maybe you want to know how to like learn about credit, housing, just things that'll help you. Like we talked about time management a little bit. It could even be dealing with stress. Like a lot of things, especially like student athletes in general, just go through with stress. You got a lot to deal with. But like, what was one thing you would advise?
Yeah, so it's a bunch of things I would advise, but I would say the number one thing would be don't be afraid to get uncomfortable in order to grow, right? Like because that's what growth is all about at the end of the day. Like you almost have to get comfortable being uncomfortable, because if you're comfortable your whole life, then there's not going to be any growth, right? Like you're just going to be at the same tier or the same level, whatever you're doing. And this goes for athletics. This goes for, your occupation, professionalism, whatever the case may be. A lot of people, they're not willing to do what it takes to get to that next level because it's uncomfortable, right? So at the end of the day, you got to say, look, growth comes with, as you're changing and evolving and, getting onto that next level, you got to do it you got to do what it takes. You got to be willing to do what it takes to get to that next level. And just because things are uncomfortable, it's only going to be uncomfortable for a temporary, momentarily, right? For like maybe a week or two or a month or however long it needs to take for you to move on to that next level. But once you break through that tier, it's like, okay, now I'm a lot better than I was, last month, right? But then now you got another level to break through, right? You can never be content. So just keep, don't be afraid, or, again, just be of the mindset that you can get comfortable being uncomfortable, because, if you have that mindset and you're self-motivated, then you're just going to keep getting better and better and better and better. So, that's one thing that guys got to make sure they're keeping in mind.
I think a lot of that comes with, not wanting to look too cool, not trying to be too cool. Like, especially like you said with the Instagram, like everybody want to do things that like look good, but like people don't want to be like embarrassed to do something that's abnormal, just like that you don't normally see. But that's how you get better. And that's actually a great tip. Somebody else said that in their interview, is trying, like, it was more about networking, but it's just like getting uncomfortable, like being comfortable being uncomfortable, like you said.
Right.
But
yeah, exactly. So, like I said, that's just growth in general. I mean, it's just like in a weight room, right? Like if you working on your bench, and you've been at, 225 forever, you know what I'm saying? And you can easily throw up 225. What do, right? You're not just going to keep pushing 225 for the rest of your life, because at that point it's easy. You got to try to get to 245 or whatever by, and it's going to be uncomfortable. You're going to struggle the first week or whatever that you try and get that weight up. But then after a couple of weeks, now you're pushing 245 with ease. Okay. But now what you got to do, you got to move up and try to get even stronger than that. So it's always about building, and it's always about, trying to push your limits, and, your body is always going to have have certain limits, and not just your body, but your mind, you know, your habits and all those sorts of things. That's another thing I would say. It's just like trying to break bad habits, because we're all creatures of habit, right? Like we all do things that, you know, we do on a regular basis that we don't even realize that we're doing. But, you know, if you reflect and you look at yourself in the mirror and say, okay, is this actually helping me grow as a person? The things that I do on a day-to-day basis, is this getting me better? Is this getting me any closer to my goals? And if it's not, then you need to make a change. You know what I'm saying? But with that change comes being uncomfortable. But you got to be uncomfortable a little bit in order to break through that, so you can get better, you know, get closer to your goals. So, you know, like I said, it's just about having that mentality, and really like kind of like a mind over matter sort of situation.
And that's a fact, man. I mean, other than that, I don't really got no more questions, Jay.
I have one more question. So I like to see what, you know, like we're more than just athletes, you know? So I want to know like what you do after school, like what's your plans? Do you already have a job? Are you looking for jobs, or entrepreneur?
Right. So I'm a little bit of both. So I have I do government contracting as my 9 to 5. So basically I put people to work that have clearances, you know, people that support like government sanctioned contracts or projects. So it's a pretty cool job, very hard working, you know, I'm always busy and stuff like that, but, you know, it pays the bills. But on the side, you know, I'm trying to actually start something football related myself, where I'm training some DBs and things like that. Coronavirus has kind of put a little bit of a damper on that. You know, obviously you got to be, you know, careful when it comes to stuff like that. But, you know, once, you know, the numbers get kind of manageable and, you know, I personally feel comfortable getting around kids and training them without masks and things like that, then, you know, that's when I'll, you know, really, you know, hit that one pretty hard as far as getting that started up. But then I also do, you know, financial services on the side. I just got my license to sell life insurance and annuities. So, you know, I do some of those, you know, a little bit of that for some extra change on the side, to help, you know, meet my, you know, financial goals and stuff like that. So I'm kind of doing a whole bunch of stuff right now. Like I said, I got my 9 to 5 and then my financial services on the side. But then ultimately I want to start up something football related where I'm training some kids.
That's dope, man. Just like you said with bench pressing, man, you got to keep going up. You know, you can't be content.
Exactly, man. I'm never comfortable. As soon as I'm comfortable, I start feeling weird. I'm like, man, now I need another challenge. You know, for me, it's always what's next. How can I get better? How can I level up in life? So I think, you know, in general, if you have that mentality, then you always gonna win. You know, but if you content and you just like, okay, well, you know, I'm good where I'm at, then, you know, you're not really gonna, you know, maximize your potential. So
I mean, it comes with doing
appreciate
that you don't want to do, bro.
Yeah, no doubt.
That is what it is. That's life, you know. But man, I appreciate you, bro. This has been amazing. Honestly, I haven't been able to chop it up with you in a while, so this was like a good time just to like contact with you and just have like that conversation, and then to talk about sports to make it even better. For sure, I think some kid somewhere is gonna find this beneficial, and that's the whole reason, you know, we do this, just to give opportunity and give perspective about different sports and then just different people's experience, because everyone is different. Everyone's recruiting process is different. Everyone's journey is different. So I think, you know, your story too, I hope it does touch like that one kid that's trying to get over the fence or just trying to figure stuff out. And, you know, that's the whole point of why we do all this. I do got a shirt for you for doing the show and get you one of these. I'm gonna let you know after everything, I get your contacts and everything. I'm gonna throw out Instagrams and all that. I don't know if you play video games. I don't really play video games, but if you do, you taking the smoke for people and PlayStation, Xbox, whatever, with those gamer tags in there too. If somebody want to smoke, you know, however that goes, because we got to chill out. You know, we got to enjoy life sometimes. Do what's best, you know, for you, to give you that peace of mind at the end of the day, for sure. But I mean, other than that, bro, I appreciate this, and you know, it means a lot to me personally. Like, we won't chop it up every day, but when I call you, you always responsive, you know, all that, and that just means a lot. And that's just true friendship at the end of the day too. You know, you don't gotta talk to everybody every day. Sometimes, you know, life happens. You go your separate ways in some aspects, but like I always tell people, I'm always here. My phone always here. Give me a call, whatever it is.
Oh yeah, no doubt, bro. Likewise. I mean, you know, we go back. You know, we was hooping in Arlington, you know, which is that was like what, 12 years ago or something. I mean,
you don't gotta say that, bro. It made me feel old. I mean,
yeah, I was gonna say, man, dang, time be moving, bro. Time be moving. But yeah, bro, you already know what it is, man. It's always gonna be love between us, man. Nothing but good vibes. You know, like I said, the feeling's mutual. So I was I'm happy to hop on here and, chop it up with y'all. Jalen, you seem like a real cool dude as well. So I was it's good to meet you as well. And, happy to help y'all out for real.
Yeah, man, appreciate it. I gotta get you your LinkedIn too. I assume you got LinkedIn.
Oh yeah, definitely. I have to have a LinkedIn for what I do.
Facts.
Big facts. Well, I hope you guys subscribe. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Great talking with my guy, Raeshawn Smith. Make sure y'all guys tune in, turn on those notifications so you never miss a video. Hope to have these pushing out as many as we can, different athletes, different sports. And yeah, that's all we got for you guys this time. See you guys next time.
Peace out.